I appreciate you both coming today.
They gave me the clap, man.
It was a good kind of clap, though.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So,
I've had both. I actually started my own strain in the late 70s.
that's not how I thought we were going to start this thing. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, to start, what I was going to ask was when it's for a question for both of you guys, so whoever wants to take it first can. But when did you know you wanted to break into the professional wrestling business, and how did you go about it?
I'm still not sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't know I wanted to be a wrestler until I'd already been in wrestling for a year. I hated wrestling. I hated wrestling because my father wrestled, and I'd never seen him, and I blamed it on wrestling, which was not the truth at all. He was just a prick. And I'm sorry, I need to watch my language. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. It's okay, I can say shit, and thank you very much. Well, fuck it then. Now I don't have to worry about that shit. So that asshole, yeah.
R-rated panel.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I want an X. How did I get X? Nudity?
I don't know if you want to do it. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, not to lay the money out. Yeah, so I had actually went down to see my father, and he was wrestling, and I wanted him to be proud of me. I just wanted to hear him say, "I'm proud of you," because he never showed up for anything. You know, high school, nothing. Nothing. To ball games, nothing. To graduation, nothing. And yet I was the first child in our family to graduate from high school. You know, so it was something different, and I had a pretty good sized chip on my shoulder, and I went down to see him and said, you know, guess what? I graduated from high school. How about that? With honors, ooh. He's like, well, that's good. That's it. That's all I get. So I went a step further, said, well, you know, I'm going to college. I'm going to be an architect. And he said, well, I hope you didn't come down here wanting money. I'm like, no, man, that's not why I'm here, you know. And that was it. So a couple of nights later, I was, with the help of alcohol, talked myself into getting into the ring. Alcohol and youth gave me the ignorance or courage, whichever one you might say, probably ignorance definitely, to go up and challenge a wrestler. Because in my mind, I said, well, if you want your dad to be proud of you, you got to go out there and be a wrestler and beat somebody. So I wasn't completely stupid. I picked the oldest guy and the worst shaped guy. He looked like a miniature Santa Claus, you know, and looked to be 50 at least. And I picked him. And about 15 minutes later, when I crawled from the ring, having pissed myself, having passed out a couple of times from pain, crawled to the locker room, and my 7-foot father looked down at me and he said, you're gutless, I'm ashamed of you, and you'll never amount to anything. Thank you. You know, and right then I went outside and I was crying, and which I found out was not something a man should do. You know, if you're a real man, right, you know. Real men cry, folks. Real men do. If they're real. But I made a deal with the devil. You know, I promised the devil if he would help me, I would do anything for him. And I swore up and down that I was going to be a better wrestler than my father ever was. And I did that. Did it give me what I wanted from him? No. I sacrificed what I wanted in life and changed directions. And 20 years later, I was still waiting for him to say it. I found out later that he would tell other people he was proud of me, but wouldn't tell me. And, you know, you can love your father without liking him. And that's what saved my ass, because it took me a long time to figure that out. because it used to torment me that I could love a man that I didn't respect, and that it was a horrible human being. And that's all I got on that subject. Okay, Mickey.
Yeah. Wow. Let me catch my breath of that one.
All right. Next question. No.
Man, I've loved wrestling my whole life.
Oh, you jackass.
I did seriously. I mean, I grew up a wrestling fan from the Mid-Atlantic days, Georgia, Texas, New York, and I wrestled amateur, collegiately. Started out with Pembroke State University, transferred to Iowa, a scholarship, and got to be on the tutelage of a guy I looked up to, Dan Gable, Olympic gold medalist, and I used to watch tapes of him training, and it would just blow my mind how great a shape the guy was in and his dedication. And anybody that knows anything about Olympic athletes, they're a breed apart from a normal athlete. I mean, they trained their whole life, and I was fortunate enough to do that for a little bit, and then got to my true passion, professional wrestling, and I was brought into business by Ivan Koloff, the Andersons, and Nelson Royal.
Yeah.
And that, not only would we train hard, train old school, coming home every day and bumps and bruises, black and blue, study tapes, those Johnny Valentine, Lou Thez, Chief Walter McDaniel, and who I got to wrestle later on when I started the business. And it was a real education, and what they taught me was invaluable, what lied ahead. And not only did that, but I went to Japan for a little while for MMA, for UWFI. Through my buddy of mine, Stan Lane, hooked me up with those guys, and they were competitors for Pride Fighting. And at the time, I was training with a young Dan Severn, Ken Shamrock, Gary Albright, Vader. Was doing a couple of events every now and then, and this is like way before the UFC. I mean, it was back in the ring. It's called Pancration at the time, and the point system, submission, knockout, and you had people from all over the world come to Japan. From Russia with the Sambo style and everything, and then, but at the time it wasn't as popular, rather than it is now. So I went back to what my true passion was, professional wrestling, and then learning on later in my career, having guys like Dusty Rhodes and William Regal and different guys compare my style and many mannerisms to the original Gorgeous George, and for my grandfather to smart me up one day, because I was telling him that it was like a chain reaction. People were comparing me to the original Gorgeous George, right? And he just looked at me and said, "You didn't know?" And I was like, "Didn't know what?" And he proceeded to smart me up and let me know that the original Gorgeous George was actually my granduncle, and they were amateur boxing buddies back in the day before we broke into business. And that's what inspired me early in my career at the time to don the name Gorgeous George III in honor and retrospect to him. So, and through the rest was history, man.
So you both talk about training and how training was very different back then than it is today. Like, it seems like nowadays everybody has a training school. There's training on every corner. The main difference being, I guess, WWE's how they're doing in NXT. They have the training facility down there that's like an actual pro sports team training facility. I guess my question is, do you think training's too accessible? Does that affect the business? Are there too many people coming into the business because maybe there aren't enough training facilities that are adequate?
The problem with any school is your teachers. And for what I've seen, we need better teachers. I really butt heads with people when it comes to what you should learn and what you shouldn't learn. And it needs to be simple. It needs to be simple. Today, unfortunately, they take you to a school and they teach you how to flip, fly, and do all this ridiculous stuff when they haven't taught you the simple things. They don't teach you a good lockup. They just consider that extra crap. Your lockup is very important. It's the first move you make. And so I get, that's the reason I'm probably not there, because I'm very vocal on what I believe, and I believe my way to be right. I don't think anybody can prove me wrong. You know, I don't think you should learn the second thing until you've learned the first thing. Because if that first thing's not right, you've destroyed it. People, when you're going to the ring, people, I like that. I got a career. People form an opinion of you as you walk to the ring. So their perception of you is important. So if that first move is a little bit off, what is their perception of you? You don't really know what you're doing. This guy doesn't have it going. If you go out there and lock up like an animal, oh my God, this guy's a kick ass, man. So at any time in the ring, if you go out and do something that's half-assed, you've destroyed your credibility. Now I'm going to show you how I work that out. Let's just say that you and I went out tonight and had too many cocktails, as I used to do. I don't do it anymore. And at the end of the night, being a buddy of yours, I hooked you up to have sex with a midget. All right? But yeah, I'm a good guy. Now, you had to consider, well, wait a minute, I've been with the same woman for 10 years. I've never cheated on her. I really feel bad, but I'm drunk and I'm with Jake the Snake, so I'm going to screw this midget. So you do it. But when you get home, the guilt takes over on you and it's just wearing you out, and you know you've done your woman wrong and you can't believe you did it, so there's only one thing for you to do. Tell her the truth. Right. Sometimes you should just keep your mouth shut. Anyway, so you tell her, baby, damn Jake got me drunk. I don't know how it happened, but I hooked up with a midget. He hooked me up with a midget, and I did it. But, honey, I've never, ever cheated on you in my life. Does she believe you? Hell no. Why? Because you destroyed your own credibility. So, in the ring, if you go out and do something that's half-assed, what have you just done? Destroyed your own credibility. It's more important to do the small things absolutely right than it is to do a big thing. Because they done forgot about you, because guess what? We know you're a phony bastard. That's the way my thought process works, and it's right. So don't screw a midget. That's nothing against midgets, because they're good. There's nothing better than having a good sex with a good midget. I'm not coming up short on this, am I?
I got
it. Your turn, bitch.
Well,
okay.
Oh, would you screw a giant? I knew it. That don't work out too well.
Andre didn't tell you?
Yeah. Oh. Well, I didn't say that shit.
I was just a kid. Sorry. I was just learning the ropes.
What was the question?
Talking about training.
Oh, really?
Yeah, were there too many training?
Yeah, well, evidently there's too damn many training places that don't know what the hell they're doing. Guys are being put out there before they're ready. Vince McMahon, shame on you, because what you did when you took over the world was you killed wrestling. How did you do that? Well, you kill all the breeding grounds for wrestlers. You see, you don't learn to be a great wrestler by going to school. You learn to be a great wrestler by being on the road and wrestling every night. Back in our day when we started, the prehistoric days, pre-Vince, you had to wrestle in the same town every week. So you couldn't go out and do the same shtick every week like they do now. You know, You had to go out, you had to evolve, you had to change every week. Something had to be different about you to keep the interest up in the fan. So after you've been in the territory for 6 months, you've wrestled there 25, 26 times. If you still got a job. I'm here to tell you that probably 50% of the guys that are on top right now could not make it in those days because they go out into the same stick. Hell, if that's not bad enough, they go out and practice their matches. I never practiced a match in my life. And it's safe to say I won't. So that's my proof.
He's so right. He's so right.
Next. Good answer.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know,
There's nothing else to say about it. Next question. Go ahead, bro.
no, I'm just following up. This business, one of the main things in this business is based on is emotion. And how they bring that emotion out of people and out of your audience. And if you don't believe in what you do, if you don't believe in getting that emotion out of the audience and in what your craft is and everything that you do, you might not, well, step in the ring, period, or lace a pair of boots. Emotion is why we're all here and what we're all about and what we do for you guys. And it's so important. Emotion will be the best seller since the beginning of time, and it will always be the best seller. But without emotion, there wouldn't be professional wrestling, period.
That's so sad. What?
So, Ultimate Fighters don't travel nearly as much as wrestlers. They don't have as many fights as wrestlers have pro matches. But obviously, there's a wear and tear on their body as well. Do you think that the road schedule will ever diminish to where it's similar to like a boxing or an MMA, or do you think that it's not possible?
What the hell, brother? They got it made. We were talking about that this morning. The guys today don't wrestle but 3 or 4 times a week. In my day, you wrestled every friggin' night, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday, in different cities. So you might wake up in Omaha, but you got to fly to L.A. because you got a 2 o'clock show in L.A. Then after that show, you're going to get in a rental car and drive to San Diego and wrestle that night. Next morning, you're probably back in Omaha, going to Des Moines. It would have been much smarter if you'd have went there first, right? Well, that don't fucking matter because those guys that are doing it don't give a shit. You know, it's not the road schedule that beats up the wrestler. It's idiots in the ring that are hurting each other that don't know what the hell they're doing. It doesn't take a great wrestler to jump off a 20-foot cage. It takes a friggin' idiot. I'm sorry, folks, but that's the truth. What part of jumping off of a 20-foot cage says wrestling? Nothing. Nothing. What that shows me is the guy that did it, besides being an idiot, he doesn't have the confidence to go out there and wrestle. He has to do something completely out of the book to get your attention. Sorry, Mick Foley, but that's the way it is. You know, I remember when Mick Foley tore his ear off, all right? Me being the guy that I am, I called to check on him, asked him if he was irritated, asked him if he wasn't acting irresponsible, asked him if it was irreplaceable. Why did I do all those mean things to him? Because you should have never done it. If you can't do it right, don't do it. Simple. If you can't do it right, don't do it. My thought is there's no such thing as a dumb question when it comes to being in the ring. Because if you're not absolutely sure, don't do it. That's my life you're dealing with. When you get in the ring, you are trusting your opponent with your life. With your life. And, you know, the last thing I ever wanted to do was hurt somebody out there. Although I did it a few times, and a couple of times on purpose. But trust me, they had it coming. It was a receipt. You know what receipt is? A receipt is something I give you for you hurting me. And I didn't mind doing that. Was that the question?
Yeah, I think
Oh, good. Okay. Wake me up when it's time to do another one. Man, I got this. That. Fuck. Sign me up.
Start your own band.
Sign me up,
yeah.
bitches. I don't need a band. I'm a one-man band. I want to get this out there before I get it. If you haven't, guys, have not seen me do my comedy, you are missing it. Because my comedy is not really comedy. It's just retelling road stories. And you ain't heard nothing so freaky as to spend an hour with a snake in my freaky ass shit. Not to mention the other shit that was involved, you know? But I'm not going to give it away, so there you go. If you get a chance, go see it.
It's a plug, yeah.
Yeah, it's a plug. Like a plug. I can make it happen. Absolutely. I'm definitely counting on that. Absolutely. I'll just give you something to think about. You remember when Rick Rude used to do the thing where he kissed the girl and laid him down? That wasn't such a bad gig for the girl either, okay? You might think, well, that was nasty. He shouldn't have done that, you know, it's humiliating. But they were giving these girls $500, all right? One night in a town not so far away, Rick would go out and scout the crowd for these girls. Rick was like that, you know. He had to feed his penis. Yeah, he did. He actually had to feed his penis. Yeah, he was real bad about that. Anyway, so he'd go out and find the girls, and of course he had it lined up in his head. They were going to be seeing each other later. So one night he went out and picked out this girl, and this girl's like, no way. Well, he didn't know that she was with me. And it wasn't my wife, it was this other girl. Sorry. Shit happens. And she was offended. And she come back to me, she said, can you believe they had the gall to ask me? I said, get your ass out there and tell them yes. They're going to give you $500, bitch. You can buy the cocaine tonight, motherfucker. Damn, get your ass out there. Do it. So she went out there, and she's lucky that she got in. And then she came back and said, okay, I'm in. I'm like, well, they tell you when? No, well, go find out when. Because back then we did 3-hour tapes. So she come back, she said, after the second hour. I said, great, I'm on the first hour. After I wrestle, meet me out at your car. So she did. She got to the car, and she's like, what'd you want me to meet you out here for? Well, I didn't think this was appropriate to do inside. She's like, what? I'm like, come here. Get down on it. Get down on it. Sorry, you said it was okay. And so she did. And I said, you know, don't spit it out. You save that for Rick. When he kisses you and he's laying you down, you tell him what you did. See? That's when I realized I was a drug addict. Because I threw caution to the wind knowing that I'm going to die when he hears this shit. Now, if you want to hear the rest of the story, buy a ticket to my show. Ho, ho, ho.
That was a great advertisement.
Would you have kissed her? The hell you would have.
No, I wouldn't have.
Kiss him now then. What the hell? Next.
No, we can keep going.
Yeah, why not? Oh, you're going to do something else?
Oh, I've got
You got a question.
I've got like 80 questions here. We got, yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
Yeah.
Just because you left me standing in the fucking lobby.
He's not also good at comedy, he's good at magic, too.
Oh, Oh. Because you didn't see me.
Really?
Both, the two of us are standing there, and he
Dynamic
doesn't
duo right
see
here,
us.
folks. Batman and Robin.
Okay, yeah. Tell your story walking, bitch. Next question. Go ahead.
Yes, Chucho. He's our old friend from Mexico.
Your friend.
You guys tagged together.
They did.
Yeah, we tagged together in Mexico
Yeah, they did.
before they started tagging today.
I'm gonna hit you. Won't
Be the first time.
Brother, try doing your job today and just answer the question instead of me having to carry it as usual.
If you let me grab a hold, I probably will.
Good luck. Grab a hold of this, bitch. Come on, man. You don't even know what the question is.
I don't remember what it was.
Next question. Jeez.
Yeah, you're going after that.
It's not easy working with this
I better
group.
start off first.
Yeah, give it to him first. Then I'll save it.
Yep. Now we have power. Okay. So you talked a little bit about before how you broke into the business.
Yes.
Gorgeous George III.
Yes.
You were previously. Then you became the maestro in WCW.
Oh, yes.
I think
yes.
the biggest
Yes.
the biggest program you were part of there was working with the Cat, and then James Brown was involved in that as well in pay-per-view, right? How did the maestro thing come about? What you said you had a conversation with Eric Bischoff. How did that come about?
How you doing, Jake?
I'm just waiting. Must be nice to have a question made specifically just for you.
I have one for you next.
He got his first, though, right? Okay. Go ahead.
I'll get the hot tag in a minute. Don't worry. Well, at the time, Macho Man Randy Savage wanted to give the name to his girlfriend Stephanie Bellers, which perplexed a lot of us in the company, including myself. So I made it with Eric Bischoff in Atlanta and worked things out, and that's pretty much how the Maestro was born. My real life musical background and theater background. It was kind of mixed into play with the piano entrances, with the Baby Grand and coming out of the rafters. And Sting and I were the only two at the time. Hello? I'm honored. Get a reaction from Jake Roberts. That's awesome. That's over, brother. Well, what happened? This was like, though, right after the passing of Owen. And originally, if Brett wasn't going to give me the blessing to do it out of respect for the family, which, I knew the family through Nelson, who was good friends with Stu Hart at the time. And I asked him for permission to do it, because if he wouldn't have given me the permission from the family, then there's no way I would have done it. But he gave me the green light, so I went with it. The entrances, and a few weeks prior, I was practicing with stuntmen coming out of the rafters with the harness and everything. And when I would do the entrances, I would have the harness the back of me when I was playing the Baby Grand, just in case, safety precaution, that something would happen to the stage and I could propel myself back up. And which one time, I was making my entrance to the ring, and I couldn't get the harness off. So I had to work a whole match with the harness too small on my back. Every bump, every turn, I would feel that harness dig it up my spine. And I was like, that night I couldn't wait for the match to be over and take it home, But my envisionment of the Maestro was pretty much, didn't come out till later on in my WCW run, was more of a Fan of the Opera-ish type thing, where Maestro had a darker side, which kind of came out with matches with Buff Bagwell and the Cat Ernest Miller, in which honored to get James Brown to join us at the pay-per-view in San Francisco, the Cow Palace, in which James Brown also knew my granduncle Gorgeous George, and we got to share some stories, and that was a big honor. Talking to him about my granduncle and how he influenced him and Muhammad Ali and some of the greats in the entertainment and sports world. So, it was a good run, and I I was honored to do it.
Jake, I got a special question for you now, if you're ready.
Go ahead.
All right. Can I ask you about Bill Watts? Here's my question, okay? Because I've heard the story that when you started with WCW, you had a very lucrative contract you were offered. Bill Watts took over and cut that contract significantly. I don't know why that was. Do you know why that was? Do you think was there some pre-existing issue with?
Yeah, the thing about Bill Watts was when he was hired to WCW, his deal was he would get a percentage of the money that he saved WCW. So he came in, and after he axed my deal, he turned around and started looking at guys like the Steiners, Sting, all these guys. Said, "You got a contract with us, but I want you to renegotiate your contract and take less money." Well, I'm not going to do that. He said, "Well, it's fine, but I just want you to know this. Every week on television, we are going to beat you in the middle. Everybody is going to beat you. You will not see the lights, meaning, in your favor. We're going to humiliate you and beat you." So he got a lot of guys to renegotiate their contracts. That way he got a percentage of that money. Other than that, Bill Watts, I'm just not going to do the rant, man, because he's just a sick, sorry son of a bitch that was a racist, not a good bone in his body. I'll leave it with, you got to kind of figure that a man that will not let you see your own grandkids, his children will not allow them to see their grandfather. You must be a sorry piece of shit. Saying he's a sorry piece of shit gives shit a bad name. I'm sorry, shit.
You're right.
And that's all I want to say, because I could go on and on and give you example after example, but there's no need to waste our time talking about filth.
Sure. All right. So, Maestro, I got another one for you then. So you said you worked in Smoky Mountain with Jim Cornette. Very controversial person is Jim. People love him or they hate him or whatever. What was your experience working with Jim in Smoky Mountain at that time?
Jimmy had such a mind for the business. He started out as a photographer back in the old Memphis days and learning under Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk and guys like that. And to work with him in Smoky Mountain and some of the great names at the time, the Fullers, Bobby Eaton, who's arguably one of the best in the business,
Yes.
hands down. Rock and Roll Express, Kevin Sullivan, Arn Anderson, Ron Garvin, Jimmy Golden. Just some of the best names and legends in the business. And to start in a territory like that, when you start getting going in the business, it's just tremendous. And including this man right here, I have learned so much, not only in wrestling, but in life. To watching this man, learning from this man, being on the road with this man, starving with this man, traveling with him. This guy right here, his psychology level would blow away most college professors today. And learning how making, as he says, little things speak volumes. And when he says less is more, you better believe it, man. This guy's one of the all-time best. And not only is he a Hall of Famer, not only is he one of the greatest of all time in my book, but I'm proud to call him a friend and a brother.
So Jake, you started with a python, then they gave you a cobra. Well, not that python. Then they gave you a cobra. Were there ever plans during that period when you were as over as you were, working with Randy Savage, working with Warrior, all the other people you work with, to have you program with Hogan and work the top of the card, or was that never?
They tried that. We're at the top of the fucking card. Fuck you.
I'm sorry.
I was the top of the card, bro.
I don't mean like that.
What a piece of shit.
I don't mean like that.
You Bill Watts' buddy? I was working the main events. They tried to put me with Hogan, but you fans screwed me on that because he started chanting DDT, DDT after I dropped him. And Vince looked at me and he goes, man, that ain't going to fly. What do you mean it's not going to fly? Because they're cheering for you. They're just happy that, whatever. And so we tried it in 2 towns. We sold out those cities, turned people away. And I said, there. Can't beat that. Not going to happen. Why? Because they're chanting for you. Does it fucking matter who they're chanting for? The seats are sold out. That's going to screw with our marketing. Yeah. So that was the end of that. So my job became getting the next bad guy ready for Hogan. So if Hogan was in Los Angeles, I would be in San Francisco. And getting beat by the next card was going to be Hogan versus this guy, that just beat me. But it was a lucrative job. I hated the fact that I was never given the belt, but that was a lot of my fault because of my addictions. I want to say this. I never meant to cheat the fans out of a good match. Even when I was high or hungover. In those instances, I would wind up going out there and giving you twice the time because I was so angry with myself that I'd allowed myself to be in not proper at the time. I often wonder how well it would have went if it had not had problems. Sometimes when you have problems, you learn a lot. And I certainly learned that alcohol and drugs aren't good for you and that it can hurt your career and it can hurt your family. The last one I care about. In the last 5 years, I've gotten myself back in the right world with the help of Diamond Dallas Page and others. I've been clean now for 5 years, and now that's one that I didn't think would ever happen because I was that hooked. And if you don't have the movie or if you haven't seen the movie, do yourself a favor and get it. If not for you, for a friend of yours. And the one thing that sticks out for me with the thing with Dallas is this guy nuts to invite 2 drug addicts, alcoholics into your home and not expect chaos and problems and deaths or whatever? But he did it because he loved us. It took a lot of strength. And my hope with that movie, if you do see it, is that you'll walk out there and say, you know what? I could do something to help somebody that I know. Because I guarantee each and every one of us knows somebody that's got a problem. And that we probably avoid their phone calls. And when we see them coming down the street, it's like, oh my God, here they come. Jesus Christ, I got to get across the street, get away. Maybe instead of going around them, we should meet them head on, man, and try to show them some love. Because that's the only thing that conquers addiction is love. Your love. So think about it, man. Think about it, because that person that you're turning and walk away from, man, might be a brother, might be your mother, it might be somebody that's just a casual friend. But if you don't hear me say the word fuck, you better shut that door. Okay, never mind.
I think they're asking us to.
Yeah, I didn't mean to fucking say that.
That's all right.
Okay, I take that back. I didn't mean to say it. Anyway, please walk out of here today and say that's the most important thing that I said, because it is the most important thing I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
and come to my table and buy the fucking movie. Oh, did you want to answer that? Well, you don't get to.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Bill Watts, what a fucking
Yeah, and that's what I knew I'd get some good stuff out of that one.
You'll be showing it to him tomorrow, right?